Parashat Korach. Parashat Korach. And the Parashat Korach, it follows up for the last 2 weeks. What happened? Last week we had the spies, the Meraglim. And the week before that, we had Miriam speaking about her brother. I know we spoke about it in the last previous shiurim. And from there we see what? From Miriam, who spoke Lashon Hara, she spoke bad about her brother. Then we had the spies who spoke bad about the land of Eretz Yisrael. Why did they do that? Because of kavod. And the kavod comes into this week's parasha of Korach. Why did Korach do what he did? We're going to learn about it today. We're going to talk about it more in depth. Why did Korach do what he did? Because of kavod. From here, Chazal teach us she avera goreret avera. That whenever you do a sin, it brings about another sin. Also, so too with a mitzvah. On the good side of the coin, you do a mitzvah, it also brings another mitzvah. It motivates you to continuously keep on growing. So to the other way. If you do an avera, don't think one avera doesn't have koach. So what? It's only one. Just know that avera has koach because it's not only that, it creates a chain, a domino effect. That from there creates another one, and each one creates another one. So even one has the ability to make you fall. Even one avera makes the ability to fall. How do you know koach? What did he do? Only one thing. You should know that Korach was a big tzaddik. Was very, very righteous. Most people think Korach, wicked person, rasha. If they knew he was a Talmid Chacham, Atzum, he was not only that, he was prestigious. They met who was Korach. We have to look into it. Korach really, most people, I don't know, some people know, some people don't know, he actually was the first cousin of Moshe Rabbeinu. First cousins. His uncle's son. Basically how it happened, there's a family tree. There was a grandfather, Kehat. Kehat had four sons in order. Amram, Issachar, Hebron, and Uziel. 4 brothers. Amram was the firstborn, and his children were Aaron, Miriam, and Moshe. And then you had Issachar, and his firstborn was Korach. From Korach, then you see first cousins. They come from the same family, big tzaddikim, big righteous people. And what happened to him? One thing, one avera, and in the end, what happened to him? Till today, the stories in the Gemara, in the Mefarshin, that they bring it down till today, that if a person can open up the opening to Gehenom, to hell, there's actually stories in the Gemara of this. They can actually hear every Rosh Chodesh, they can hear Korach, and the whole Edah, this whole congregation of 250 people saying, Moshe Emet, Torah to Emet. Moshe is truth, and his Torah is truth. We went against him, and what we were saying was a bunch of nonsense. But let's understand really what was going on over here. We see that a few weeks ago we spoke about this. When we talked about the inauguration, when it came to the starting of the Mishkan, what happened? When they inaugurated the Mishkan, the Levi'im had a special service. The Kohanim were the ones who were in charge of the sacrifices. And the Levi'im, אתה לוי, no? לא? אמא? בסדר, אתה מכיר קצת. Levi'im, they had a special purpose. הנה, עוד שתי לוויים פה. Right? Levi'im had a special purpose. They would assist the Kohanim. And not only that, they were in charge of the songs, Zmirot, and a bunch of other things. So when they inaugurated the Mishkan, they also inaugurated the Levi'im. What did they do? How did they inaugurate them? They shaved off all of their hair, completely, with the eyebrows and with everything. Completely shaved off their hair. They did a wave service. They would pick them up and do a wave service in the Beit HaMikdash. Now imagine, who's Korach? Some who Korach is. So Yosef was the richest person in Egypt. He had 3 treasure houses. One of them Korach found. He was one of the wealthiest people to ever to live. Till today in Eretz Yisrael, what do they say when a person is very, very rich? Ashir ke Korach. Till today. How rich was he? Says the Gemara in Pesachim, he had 800, Rabbi Levi says, he had 800 strong white mules just to carry the keys to his storage houses. The keys to the storage house. Understand how rich he was. And you remember from last year, who is this? 800 keys just to the storage houses. He was the original DJ Khaled. Bemet, he could say, I got the keys. Bemet, Bitzroki. 800. Imagine. So wealthy, so rich, prestigious. The first cousin of Moshe Rabbeinu. Man of stature, wealthy, handsome. The Midrash goes in on him and everything you could possibly imagine he had. But even still, it wasn't enough. We should know what happened in the story. After he shaved his hair and his eyebrows, he came home to his wife. Now imagine your wife, if you come home, no hair, no eyebrows. Not the chas v'shalom, you're sick or anything like that. That's not sure. Imagine you went to the barber, and for some reason your barber played a joke, there's no mirror, and shaved off everything. You come home now, come home looking like a naked mole rat, no hair, no eyebrows. If you have a good wife, she's going to tell you, don't worry, it's going to grow back. If you don't have a good wife, she's going to tell you, what is this? It's disgusting. Nothing to do over here. What is this? This is not the person I married. I didn't sign up for this. I wasn't expecting this. Like a woman who marries a guy who has a full head of hair, and then later on he loses it. She sent him straight to Turkey. Straight to Turkey she sends him. Go over there, I don't care how much it costs, don't come back until you have a full head of hair. I didn't sign up for this. Imagine he comes back, no hair. So what did his wife do? She started to light the gas. She put gasoline, propane on the fire. She saw he was already heated up. Because Korach, what was he? He was a man of stature, right? I'm very wealthy, I'm very rich, I'm the first cousin, I'm a man of position, and they're shaving me and they're waving me around. Imagine now, you take the president and you pick him up and start waving him around in the air. What? Kavod? It's not kavod. So already he was heated up, and what did his wife do? She kept on adding ash to the fire. Adding ash. Now what happened? We just said something so simple and so important. What was the Levi'im? One of the jobs that Levi'im had? That they would sing songs in the Beit HaMikdash, right? They would sing songs. Why? Because a song, we spoke about it in the past, has a very, very special power. Everything you hear has a very, very special power to enter the neshama. So Korach understood this. He knew that. Why? One of his tafkidim was to sing, because he understood what was it mean. The Korach of listening, the Korach of hearing. What it does to the person, even still he listens to his wife. Even still he didn't tell her, Ad lepo, I'm putting my foot down, don't make fun of me looking like this. This is what it is. I'll put it on the head for a few days until I call you besede. I'll put it on the head until everything grows back. No, he chose to listen to her and get heated up. And for me, we learned one of the beautiful point. I'm on a sidetrack. I want to come back. One beautiful point of the Korach of Dibur. How what you hear is so important. Chacham Ovadia, there's many stories of Chacham Ovadia later on in his life when he became who he was. And early on, he wasn't the biggest rabbi in the whole entire world, and then slowly he became. And Chacham Ovadia, there's stories of him that he used to go and travel 2 hours, 1 hour, 2 hours away to give shurim for a few guys. And even in his later years, when he already was Chacham Ovadia, he would still go all the way. So one time his son came to him and asked him, Abba, no mavin, I want to understand. The rabbi is doing events for thousands of people. The people are yearning to hear the words of the rabbi. Why is the rabbi still getting on a bus for 2 hours to go give a shiur to a couple of Bale Batim, older men in Hebron? Why are you going all the way over there? You have 10, 12, 16 guys. What do you have over there? Said Chacham Ovadia to his son, I'm not thinking about them, I'm thinking about the children. Because whatever they're going to hear from me, they don't even understand. I'm not going to change them. They're already old. You cannot change an old mule. It's very hard to move them. You can move them a very little. However, what they're going to hear is not going to affect them so much. Rather, it's going to affect their grandchildren and their children. Chacham Ovadia would go and choker bam, and he would drill in them the importance of sending the children to yeshiva. One of the men who went over there, he had a grandson named Igal. And his son Igal was a little bit, in the earlier years, a little bit of troublemaker. And he told his son that he sent his grandson to yeshiva because what he heard Chacham Ovadia. Who just Igal testifies on himself? Rav Igal Cohen today. Rav Igal Cohen, one of the biggest rabbis in Eretz Yisrael for Kiruv, and also one of the biggest rabbis, period, today. He said he only who he is today because Chacham Ovadia went and gave a shiur to his grandfather. And his grandfather heard about yeshiva, and because of that, he told his son, put your son in yeshiva, and because of that, he went to Bnei Brak. And because he went to Bnei Brak, what did he do today? Look how many people he's matzil. Every single one of his videos, 2, 3, 4,000, 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Everyone in Israel, definitely, he goes all over the world. And Mezakeh people, why? Because of one dibur. Chacham Ovadia told them, go to Shiva, and look what it did. The koch of what you hear is so powerful, you can't even imagine. It's so powerful. What's the number one trick? A guy asks you, can you give me a ride? He says, can you get in the car? Would you give you a ride half an hour? So you can spend half an hour talking shtiyot with mitzvah gvanyot, talking about shtiyot. You heard about this one, you heard about that one. No, so everyone in the car, every time they get into the car, bro, you're not going to believe, this one did like this one did like that. Half an hour of shtiyot with mitzvah gvanyot, nothing happened, nothing came for the conversation, and you get out of the car. If you're smart, you put him in the car right away, you go on YouTube, you find a shiur, dafek l'shiur, you put him a shiur half an hour in the car and you drive. Now, even if the guy is far away from religion whatsoever, nothing to do with religion, you put him a shiur in the car, I guarantee you has ashpah. Right? I guarantee you it makes a difference. He's going to hear 1, 2 things that are going to catch his eye, he's going to catch his ear, because no way he's not going to listen. He's in the car. He's not going to tell you now, don't put this on because I'm driving in your car, you're doing me a favor. So he's going to sit there, and he has no other choice but to listen. He's going to listen, and something's going to catch into his heart. He's going to hear a few things, and then he's going to go home, and it might change him. You never know. The Korach of what you hear. Now, Korach, he knew that. He knew how important it was, and even still he listened to his wife. And al this it says Ezer Kenegdo. The pasuk says Ezer Kenegdo. What does it mean? A helper against him. How can you be both? How could you be both? How could you be a helper against him? Talk about a woman, right? Ezer Kenegdo. When Adam Rishon, Chava was in Ezer Kenegdo. What does it mean? Ezer Kenegdo. It's a contradiction. A helper against him. How do you help me and also against me at the same time? Says the Mefarshim that a woman can also be a helper, but she also could be against him. What does it mean? If a person, what he's sho'ef to, things in his life that he's sho'ef to, if he's sho'ef to good, if he goes and he's directed towards good things, she'll take him to the good things. She'll make him better and she'll make him grow and she'll make him a better man. However, if he's Rotel Sho'eh, if he tells to the other side, she'll also go with him. Bani and Clyde, Adam Avit. You know what I'm saying? She'll take him all the way to the other side. She'll take him all the way with him. Whatever which way he wants to go, she'll take him. So his wife understood who's the Korach. Korach, he had this idea of kavod, of honor. And not only that, Korach had something called Korach of Dibur. You know what Korach of Dibur is? The power of speech. If Korach was alive today, he'd be the number one politician in the whole entire world. He was able to sit down, manipulate, trick people, talk to people. And one of the things that he used, two things. One thing he did like this. To get his first starting following, what did he do? What was the camel that broke the back that made him officially go against Moshe Rabbeinu? Basically, Amram was the firstborn of Kehat, right? And he had two sons, Aaron and Moshe, right? And Aaron became the high priest, and Moshe became the leader of Am Yisrael. Now, there was a position up for grabs, which was the leader of the tribe of Kehat, of the family of Kehat, the leader. And who did it go to? Korach is thinking, who's it going to go to? Me. I'm second in line. Look at the lineage. You have Aaron, Moshe, and then right away after, second brother, first son, me. So I should be first in line for this position. And who did it go to? The fourth son, Uziel, his second son, Elitzaphan. Elitzaphan got the position. So comes Korach and says, where's the justice over here? I don't understand what's going on over here. How could it be I'm supposed to be next in line, but you went all the way down to, you skipped me, you skipped my younger brother, you skipped the other brother, Hebron, you went all the way down to Uziel, you didn't even give it to his first son, you gave it to his second son. What's going on over here? So Korach said, Korach said, it must not be from Hashem. It must be to do whatever they want. Why? He made a simple mistake. I'll tell you what the mistake is. This week I called the girl, I told her I have a perfect shidduch for you. Perfect guy for you. Everything you want, you're short, he's short. You want this, he wants everything checks off the boxes. Bebe. And she goes to me, no, I can't do it. Why? We have a minhag. What's the minhag? That a younger sister doesn't marry before her older sister. I said, you know who made up the minhag? Lavan. Lavan made up the minhag. Why? When Yaakov went to marry Rachel, what did he tell her? No, we have a minhag over here. We have a minhag where? In Israel? No. We have a minhag over here, Tzil Hashaim, it's the wicked people, that we don't marry the older before the younger. But over here, no. You have a good shidduch. Don't make the mistake to think there's something to do with lineage. Something to do, honor, prestige, I'm older. Look at the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu was younger than his brother, and what happened? He was the leader, and his brother was the Kohen Gadol. Menashe and Ephraim. Yivach Hashem. Ephraim and Menashe. But who was younger? Ephraim was older. Why are you saying first? How come he got kavod? Yosef was the youngest. He ended up becoming the head of all the brothers. What's going on over here? Yaakov, Esav. Esav was older, Yaakov was younger. You see again. So what's this idea? Someone came up in their mind, prestige and me and honor. But it's a miscalculation. Korach did a miscalculation. He thought, you know what? Prestige, honor, I'm next in line, that's what it should be. But he didn't understand to himself that Kadosh Baruch Hu is the one who decides who's going to go to what, based on who's the best for the job. Doesn't matter who's older, who's younger, who's this, who's that, doesn't make a difference. At the end of the day, if you're equipped for that job, if you're meant to take that job, you're going to take it. But Korach used this as fuel to get people to follow him. And what happens now if you have a party or you have something that you're doing and you want people to follow you? What do? What's the number one thing you do when you want to do a fundraiser? You make an event, you bring food, you bring drinks, you bring a singer, you bring the whole entire world, right? And you make it fun, you bring a bouncy house, you bring a clown, whatever you could possibly imagine you bring. And what do? You bring them, you sit them down, you give them a 5-course dinner, and then you put up a video on the screen with some sad music, and you say, whoever wants to donate after, but the shame will donate, right? Everyone's seen those commercials when we were kids, in the arms of the angels. They put you the puppies on the screen. Right away, you took out your wallet, you handed them the money, you know? Right away, you took out your wallet, you called them, yes, sir, I want to donate $100 to the puppies. Skin the puppies, showed you a few puppies. But they know how to get you. You put a sad song, you put a video, you put this, you have people going to right away. So what did Korach do? I want people to follow me. So what am I going to do to make them follow me? He made a gigantic banquet. He made flyers, went to the printing store, 1,000 flyers. He went out in the town, like it was a club back in the day, and he was handing out the old school flyers. DJ, what's his name's going to be there, and it was a big party. And he invited everyone, 5-course meal, and everyone came. And what did he do over there? When the Kohanim heard that they were throwing a party, what did he do? He purposely waited not to give the portion of the meat that's designated for the Kohanim. So that when they would come to pick it up, everyone would be there. And what would he say? Look who it is, the Kohanim. They want to say that they're picked from God. Let me tell everyone a story. And he got up and told everyone a story. He says, there was a woman. Her father passed away. She was left with nothing. Only thing her father left her with was a land. She decided, how am I going to make my money? I'll plow the land. Right? Comes the Kohanim and says, you need the maser, you need the tithe, you need the kohen, you need the pe'ah, you need all these things. She says, okay, I can't make money from doing the crop, so what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I have a few sheep over here, I'll shave the wool. I'll shave off their wool and I'll sell the wool, I'll make clothing. She shaved the wool, the first of the sharing belongs to the Kohanim. Okay, well, I can't make money from sharing, okay, I'll be shochet the animals. Shochet the animals. He comes the Kohanim and says, we want achalakim, we want portions of the meat. He says, this is just, this is fair. Aval again, a miscalculation. Everyone in the world, if you look at the Jewish nation, we're the only nation that I think so, that's obligated to give. Obligated. Right? You have to give 10%, right? Everyone knows, maaser. Especially when it comes to the crops, you have to give. And people say also money, right? You have to give also money. Everyone thinks, what's his limitations? You have to give, but they don't understand is that by giving you get. Anyone can tell you who's giving, he knows that when you give, you get. But when you look at it from the outside, what are you going to say? Oh, look at you guys, all you're doing is giving. You're not going to have any prosperity from that. You have to give 10%, you have to give a piece of the sharing, you have to give a piece of the crops, you have to give a piece of the food. You're not going to have any blessing, look how much you're taking from you. If you look at it that way, you look at myself, look how much I'm being taken from me, then you're never going to do it, and guess what? You're never going to have the blessing. But if you understand that in life, sometimes you have to give to get. You have to give to get. You want more, you have to give. And from there, we understand Kosh Baruch Hu's telling you, want to get? I'll give you, no problem. I have no problem. You think I care? Give, and I guarantee you're going to get. But what did he do? He used this as his advantage. He used this misconception to his advantage. And he got 250 people, not Stam Anashim, walking in the streets, a few Mexicans and Spanish people and Puerto Ricans and whoever walking outside. He got them to come join him. No, 250 heads. Every single one of them Chachamim. Every single one of them giants in Torah. Talmidei Chachamim to follow him. Now obviously over here there's a big question. How could it be that a person who's a Talmid Chacham, imagine someone who's great in Torah, someone who's a great tzaddik, how can you get him to fall now? Go think about it in your head for a second. What's going to get him to fall? So one of the Talmidim, Rav Steinemann, once came and asked him this question. He said, I don't understand. How could it be Korach? Even Korach was a tzaddik. 250 Gdolim. Not only that, the Meraglim. The spies, they also fell. What's going on over here? We know that the door of the generation that got the Torah, they were the highest level. So I don't understand how could they have fell so many times. So he came to Rav Steinemann and he asked him. He said, when a person, the higher you get in life, the higher you get in holiness, the higher the Yetzirah becomes. And he knows he can't get you in certain areas. So even till today you see this, by the way. The biggest Chachamim, the only one place they'll fall. They're not going to fall in Kashrut. They're not going to fall in this. Nothing. You won't even try them over there. But where might they fall? Machloket. Strife, controversy, arguing, back and forth. Says the Mishnah, there's two types of Machloket. And it's a fine line between the two. One Machloket, L'Shem Shamayim, which is for the sake of God, like Hillel and Shammai. How they sat down and they almost killed each other in terms of how much they would fight over the Torah. Completely against each other, but for the sake of heaven. Why? Because it was to get down to the truth of what's going on. So too Chama Ovadia. We spoke about Chama Ovadia. When Chama Ovadia first came out, the only Sfaradi Sefer there was the Ben Ish Chai. Chama Ovadia came and he was posek and again the Ben Ish Chai. People would burn his Farim. How dare you go against? He had a Ben Menagdim. And I remember the Cham Yitzchak says in his shiur, he says, I once came to Abba and I came and I asked my father, I said, Abba, how could it be? Zemor Koev, you have big Dolim coming against you. He says, watch, when I pass away, there's not going to be one Bet Midrash that doesn't have my Sefers in him. Not one Bet Midrash. Until today, go find me one Bet Midrash that doesn't have Yechut Yosef, Yechiv Dad, Yebia Omer, nothing. You're never going to find it. Impossible. Ashkenazim Gam have it. Impossible. Why? Sometimes something called a Machloket, the Shem Shamayim. There's controversy, but for the sake of God, to get down to the truth. And we see the truth. If it wasn't for Chama Ovadia, who would be? Imagine Chama Ovadia would come to himself and say, listen, I'm going to take a step back. I'm not going to write my Sefer. I'm not going to write Yechavadat, Yebia Omer. I'm not going to write all these Sfarim. No, forget it. I'm not going to do it. Chot Olam. I'm not writing any Sfarim. Let the Ben Ish Chai. I wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't be here today. No one would be here today. You know how many people came back to Chama Ovadia? How many people just in Torah? You know what he did to the world? The biggest, when he passed away, it was the biggest memorial since Aaron. You understand what I'm talking to you? Since Aaron, the times of Matan Torah. From when we got the Torah in Egypt, the biggest one was Aaron. Second to him was Chama Ovadia. You know how many people were at his Alvaya? How many? 1 million. Plus 1 million plus. Imagine 1 million people, 1 million plus people came to carry his casket to the kever. The biggest one since Aaron. Imagine that. Imagine thousands of years. And the biggest one, Chama Ovadia. Why? Because look what he did for the world. If he would have ran away from the Machloket. So there's such a thing as Machloket, L'Shem Shamayim. And what's like Machloket and L'Shem Shamayim? Korach and his congregation. Why did they say Korach and his congregation, not Korach and Moshe? Because Moshe was never even arguing with them. He's like, yeah, imagine you have beef with somebody, and the guy's like, I don't even know this guy. All right, I told you that story. The guy had beef with me. They said to me, oh, what's your beef with this guy? Why you said that? You remember? What's your beef with this guy? I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't know this guy, B'chlal. I don't know him. Same thing with Moshe. It's like, what did they want from me? What did they do, B'chlal? They just came over here telling me I did something wrong. Tachlis, I didn't do nothing wrong. What do you want from me? Look, Moshe was like, when he heard, he was so thrown back that they came up against him, and he was so humble and humility. He didn't attack them. What did he say? Okay, maybe you're right. Imagine Moshe Rabbeinu. You spoke to God face to face. You're the one who came down to give it to Torah. You didn't tell them, what are you guys talking about? Short mitzvah, get out of here and kick them from the... No, maybe you're right. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. And Bemet, he meant it. He said, okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Every one of you is going to bring an offering to God, and Aaron's going to bring an offering to God. And whoever he wants, he'll take. They all bring an offering, and Aaron was taking, and the rest of them they weren't taking. And what happened to them? The ground opened up and swallowed them. The ground opened up and swallowed them. Alive. And not only them, also all the riches. All the money they had, also the ground opened up and took it. Him and all 250 and the Tan V'Avira. The two other people, they were across town Bechlad, but because they're always giving problems, they also were eating. Just swallowed them up. Like I said, I told you before, the Gemara relates a story that if you find the place, which is the opening to Gehenom, you can see, there's many stories in the Gemara, you can hear it. You can hear them saying, Moshe Emet, Torah Emet, every Rosh Chodesh you can hear it, till today. Even though Chamavadia brings a whole diyun, Mizmor LaAsaf, that was one of the children of Korach, that he was saved from this. But the reality is, we see, how did they get to such a place? How did they get to such a place where they fell so hard? Because the Yetzer Hara knew there's only one place I'm going to get them to fall. Only one place. And that's in Kavod, and honor, Machloket. Says Rav Steinemann, how did they get there? How did they get to the place where they could even fall to honor? Because they didn't learn Musar. Because they didn't do introspection. What is Musar? Musar means introspection. A person sits with himself, or he opens a sefer, and starts to think about his actions, who he are, his character traits, all the stuff that he has. A person goes through life, he becomes numb to his actions. What happens? He never works on himself, he never becomes any better. You see a person 80 years old, he never becomes, you still have the same, you see him, he's still a nasty person, talks mean, this, that, disrespectful. Why? 80 years you never worked on yourself? No, because they're blind to their actions. They don't think about it. They're not conscious. Somebody asked you today, Mohar, what kind of musar do you learn? Chamavadia actually brings us down. Says if you have an hour of learning today, it's 55 minutes you learn the halachot, the laws, and 5 minutes you learn introspection. 5 minutes to learn musar. Right? 5 minutes. Musar is most important. You should have at least musar every single day. Why? Because it keeps you accountable. It keeps you accountable for your actions. You go out, you about to get angry, you about to go pop off on somebody, get screaming, You say, wait a second. Do I want to do this right now? You start thinking about your actions. Someone asked me today, said, what kind of musar do you learn? I tell them, and it's the truth, I live musar. What does it mean I live musar? Everything I do in a day, I think about. Is right? Is this wrong? Is it not right? Is it not wrong? Before I even act, before I do, I think, am I going to do Chilul Hashem? Am I going to hurt this guy? Am I going to affect him? How much should I answer? How should I not answer? I calculate everything. And you're right, there's Farim that help with it. But reality is, of musar, introspection, what it does is it keeps you accountable of your actions. It makes you aware of what you need to work on. And you continue to work on it. What happens? Yetzer Hara wants you to be numb. It says the only reason they fell to this is because they didn't even do introspection themselves. They didn't see that they had a problem with honor. Korach didn't realize he had a problem with honor. Why? You see, he went with it. If he would have just spent 1 second thinking to himself, wait a second, this is right or wrong, he was smart enough to be able to differentiate that it was wrong. But he didn't. Why? Because he didn't do the introspection. Introspection, musar, is one of the most important things in the whole entire world, and I'll give you a story to illustrate the point. This is a real story of the Brisker Rav. The Brisker Rav was a city in Briskers in Europe, one of the famous Rabbanim in his time in Europe. The Brisker Rav. One of his Talmidim came to him and says, Rabbi, I want to do Kibud Av V'Em. I want to respect my mother. But my mother lives all the way in a village, all the way on top of a mountain. Till I'm going to get over there, I can't even see her. So he knew, the Brisker Rav looked at him. He knew it's very difficult to be with parents and really do Kibud Av V'Em the right way. They actually say that if you have to live with your parents and not live with your parents, don't live with them, move away. Why? Because it's extremely difficult today to do Kibud Av V'Em, to respect your parents the way they need to be respected. Get up for them, sit down for them, don't argue with them, don't tell them yes, no. All the halachot, all the laws, it's very difficult. So he looked at him, he saw he was legit, he saw he was a real guy, he saw he was emet, he really wanted to respect his mother and his father. He really wanted to respect them. So what did he tell him? Okay, I'll come with you to try and persuade your mother to come and move. Comes the Brisker Rav to this little mountain in this little village, and he comes to the woman and he says, listen, I don't understand, your son wants to do Kibud Av V'Em, he wants you to come move with him, why do you keep continuing over here? She says, Rabbi, I'll tell you, come with me. She takes the rabbi out of the house, they start walking in the street, says, you see this house over here? Every neighborhood over here, my family grew up over here, all my memories over here, is when I grew up, my grandfather, my parents, everything is over here. You want me to go away from that? You see this house over here? Let me tell you a story, Rabbi. This house used to be my father's house. I'll tell you a story about my father. Back in a time when her father lived, it was very, very difficult to get an etrog. Today, you want a nice etrog, you want a nice lemon, kivechol, it looks like an etrog. You want a nice one? You go to the store, you go to the back, he has over there like a back room with the mewudar, the top line, the HL etrogim. You $500, you look, you this, you that, you pay $500, you go home. Back in that time, it was impossible. Impossible to find even, not a mewudar, not just kosher. Just a kosher etrog was extremely difficult and extremely expensive. So what would they do at the time? They would collectively collect from everyone in the community and buy one, and they would pass it around every Sukkot. Everyone would do a shake and pass, shake and pass, shake and pass to be yotzeh. This man, her father decided to himself, you know what? I want to buy myself a etrog. I want to buy myself a etrog. So he started to save up money, and he had a little pushka for the etrog account. And he would put money, constantly putting money, saving up. After a few years of saving, he says, okay, there's a nice amount of money in here, hopefully I have enough. He goes to the etrog dealer, he says, listen, I want a nice, beautiful etrog for the holidays for myself. The guy goes, takes out all the coins, starts counting. He says, I don't know how to tell you this. I know you've been saving up for 3 years, but you don't even have half of the money to buy the etrog. He goes home that night, he's devastated, heartbroken. Comes, tells his wife sees right away that he's down. She says, what happened? Tell me, I'm your best friend, talk to me. He goes, listen, I didn't have half the money. His wife tells him, listen to this today, listen to this righteous woman. Look what a good woman is. When you have a good woman, I'll talk about that in a minute. When you have a good woman, nothing greater than that. What's she tell him? She tells him, listen, we have a beautiful house over here. The house she was talking about. Let's sell it. We'll take out the equity. We'll buy a lesser house. I'll live in less luxury. And with the remainder of the money, go buy yourself a mudar etrog. Wow. That's a pele. He agrees. They sell the house. She takes out the money. She gives them the money for the etrog, and they go and they buy another more modest living, smaller place for them and their family, but also they can go and get Mesirut Nefesh. What Mesirut Nefesh is? Sacrificing for yourself for the Torah. To go and get a mudar etrog. And he goes and he buys the etrog. And everyone in the town hears, that one person has not a regular etrog, a mudar, a very HL, a high line etrog. So what do? They decide, okay, we want to go see it. Everyone comes knocking on his door to come see it. And he shows it off, and people are excited. And it didn't even come Sukkot yet. The week before the holiday of Sukkot, one of the wife's friends comes knocking on the door. He says, hey, how you doing over here? How's everything? Everything's good, Baruch Hashem. She says, listen, I heard your husband has a beautiful etrog. I didn't get you to see it. Is there any way you can get it for me? She goes, listen, normally I don't show my husband is not around. She goes, come on. Her friend was trying to push her. Come on, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Just me and you. No one's here. What's the worst that's going to happen? She says, okay, you're right. It's only me and you. She goes into the closet. She takes out the etrog, takes it out from its casing, holds it. And as the friend is holding it, boom, it falls. Piton breaks off. Now it becomes pasul. It's not kosher anymore for the holiday. Now the woman is sitting over there devastated. What's going to be? My husband is going to come home. He's going to kill me. He's going to murder me. What's going to happen? She's shaking in her boots, thinking what's going to be. Eventually, her husband comes home. He sees his wife sitting on the couch and he sees her down. He already knows right away what's going on with her. He's like, I know you. We're best friends. Talk to you. What happened? She goes, no. She's crying. No. He goes, just tell me what happened. She goes, I don't know how to tell you. Nechama came over and she was holding the etrog and it fell down in the piton baruk. Now right away in this guy's heart, what happened? All the anger and the rage came inside of him and he was about to go crazy on his wife. And that same minute, he asked himself, wait a second. Paused. And started speaking to himself. He says, this is not the same wife who was willing to sell her house for me to buy the etrog. It's not the same wife that without her, wouldn't even have this etrog. And he calmed down. He said, it's okay, honey. The whole mitzvah merit you have of holding it is to have it. Okay, I didn't have it for the chag, but I had it. So I already had the mitzvah of having the mudar etrog, and he let it go. A person who doesn't do introspection, a person who doesn't go and work on himself, he doesn't have the ability in those moments to sit down and think to himself, wait a second, let me backtrack for a moment. Let me think. Right away he reacts, he shoots out, he doesn't work on himself. When a person does that introspection, he spends that time, he's aware of his actions, guess what? Then he has the time to think, and he's not pogem. Chazal teach us, Chayim v'amavet b'yedei lashon. Life and death are in the hands of the tongue. What does it mean? If a person will know how much you can hurt a person with just his words, how much you can hurt a person with his words, if you would just sit down and think for a moment, not to speak, not to say something, how much you can save the world and how much you can ruin it if you did say something. There's a famous story that the Chachamim bring it down. It's a very, very famous story of a husband and wife, and a husband was a contractor who was constantly angry. He would come home from work all the time angry. And all the time he would yell at his wife, and his wife would run away. She would go upstairs to the room and she would close herself in the room. After a few years of this behavior, he realized that it's what he's doing to his wife, and he decided, I'm going to work on myself to be better. And he tells his wife, I want to be better. And she says, okay, every good deed you do, I'm gonna forgive you. I'll forgive you. So okay, he starts becoming a better husband. Now one day he goes into the room, he opens the room, he sees a closet, and in the back of the closet, all the clothes, he sees a bunch of nails in the closet. She goes, what is this? She goes, every time you screamed at me, I came over here and I put a nail in the closet. He says, but there's hundreds of them, there's thousands of them. She goes, exactly. He says, I want to get rid of them, let's take them out. She goes, okay, we'll take them out. First, take them out one by one, and he's so ecstatic at the end. Oh, finally, I get to move past this. I get the nails out. I finally can become a better husband, a better wife. Oh, that my wife needs. And his wife tells him after they take out all the nails. She says, "Listen, all the nails are out." He says, "Yeah, thank God, Baruch Hashem." She says, "But look at the closet. You see all those holes? You can take out the nails. You can say sorry from today until tomorrow what you did. But once you say something, once you pogam, the feeling that you did, the hole that you left in me, the pain that you caused me, will always be there. When you say something to a person and you put them down, or you do something to them when you spoke and you didn't think, now you hurt them. Now go say sorry to them later. But guess what? The pain that you caused that person right now, that sorry is not going to take away. That pain is going to remain over there. Why? How do you think a person has the ability to hold himself back? Where do you get that ability from? When you do the introspection, when you do the work, when you sit down and think to yourself, wait a second, what do I have to work on? Mesilat Yesharim in the first chapter says every single person who came to this world, he has a purpose. You came over here and one of your purposes is to figure out which midot, which character trait you have to work on. Every single person knows within himself what character trait he needs to work on. Some people it's patience, some people it's anger. Everyone has their own thing and they know what it is. But we're blind to it. We don't even put ourselves to safeguard to try and get away from them. We don't get away from our anger and our impatience. We don't try to stay away from it. We're not conscious of the behaviors. And the first time you get angry, you go crazy. And you don't know what you could do. You yell, you scream, you don't know what could happen. If you just do the introspection, if you just do the work, then ask yourself, maybe I'll take a step back and I'll sit down and I'll tell myself, wait, think before you speak. Be accountable for your actions. Then I wouldn't have hurt this person. I never would have created that hole. I'll finish up with this story that happened to me personally. So about 6-7 years ago, I was praying in the Minyan of Bnei Yosef. And I remember this story a few times, and I will always say this story because it's a story that sat with me so much so that till today I will say it over. I was sitting in Bnei Yosef, and for those who don't know, when you pray Shaharit in Bnei Yosef, there's 3 people who go up in the Chazan, to be Chazan, to go and be the cantor. The first one goes up for the first portion, which is there's not many Kadishim, which basically means if a person Chas v'Shalom passes away in your family, you want to do as much Kaddish as possible to raise their soul. So one person went up, and there was a certain guy over there. I would see him every day that he was machmir, was strict to go up and be Chazan for the second Chazan to get the most amount of Kadishim. The most Kadishim. And one day I asked him, what's going on over here? He says, listen, when my father passed away, 1 year I was strict on myself that every time I could go up to be Chazan to do Kaddish for my father, I went up and I was. Now my mother unfortunately passed away, and I want to do the same for her. That day he comes up, I was sitting over there. And the cantor was sitting over there, and he gets to the point where he's about to switch, and the guy walks up to switch with him, and he goes like this to him. The guy who's sitting in the cantor, he goes, and he continues. And he won't let him go up. And the guy, frustrated, goes, sits in the back, sits down. And he sits to himself. At the end, the guy comes to him and he tells him, listen, I don't understand why you don't let me go up. It's my mother's 1 year, I have a chiyuv, I want to do Kaddish for my mother. And the guy tells him, get out of here, what are you talking about? And just, disgusting, and he walks away. So one other guy gets up and tells the boy, tells him, this guy's disgusting, this guy's like this, piece of garbage, piece of trash. And he goes, no, Chas v'Shalom. He says, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you like this. To say Kaddish for my mother is only a chiyuv de Rabbanan. It's only an obligation from the sages. Aval avat am Yisrael ze chiyuv d'oraita. To love every single Jew is a chiyuv from the Torah. It's straight from the Torah. V'ahavta l'recha kamocha. To love every single Jew. To love every single Jew, and he let it go. He let it go, and the most something I saw, and I was sitting over there to myself, you know what's going on right now in Shamayim? You know what's going on? A person has the ability to be makpid in a person. He was 100% wrong, and he lets it go. He lets it go. Now he can ask for whatever he wants. Shat Ratzon, he can go and ask for whatever he wants. He wants to be a multi-billionaire, Hashem will give it to him. Whatever he asks for that moment. Pivater to let go of what you can do at that moment. Bater etzoncha. Whatever you want to do inside, you can be batelet. Hashem will be batelet etzon anshim acherim. Hashem will nullify the return of other people. Even a Kodesh Baruch Hu kivyochol. Even if something was decreed that you wouldn't get, you were supposed to be a millionaire. In that moment, you could even be reversing that you're not going to be Chas v'Shalom. I'm saying, if you weren't supposed to be a millionaire, at that moment you can reverse it, you will be a millionaire. You can ask for anything in that moment. But how do you think that person got to that point that he was able to sit in himself and say, don't react. Don't get angry with this man. He sat down, he did the introspection, he did the work. He sat down, he held himself accountable. And when the anger rised up inside of him, he didn't let himself react. He sat down and he thought. He was accountable. He didn't allow himself to be numb to this behavior. We see that Korach and all of them allowed themselves to be numb. And because of that, that was their downfall. Not only did they had everything in the whole entire world. Everything in the whole entire world. By the way, this is a proof from the Torah. That no matter how much money, stature, prestige you have, it'll never be enough. You constantly want more. You see, Korach, it was everything you could possibly ever imagine he had, and one thing brought him down. And that's because he didn't do musar, he didn't do introspection. Hashem will all be zocheh to do introspection, and Hashem work on ourselves to be a better version of ourselves every single day.